Hey everyone, welcome to Pepp Talks. I am your host, Peppermint, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. And this is a weekly interactive show which covers hot topics and commentary on notable Black cinema throughout history. Each week, I invite you to throw on your PJs, your mud mask, get comfy with me and my celebrity guests, where we dish our takes on the movies, drama, and our favorite trends and products. This is a celebration of everything that I love, makeup and Black culture, and connecting with each and every single one of you. So I'll be in the comments watching below. So if you see me looking down at my phone, that is what I'm doing. I'm not ordering food or getting a delivery. I know that happened on the last video with Bob, the drag queen, but just mind your business. It's a pandemic. Today's guest and movie are John Cameron Mitchell and Wattstax.
Wattstax.
I said Wattstax. Wattstax.
Wattstax.
But before we get into it, I have to tell you, I am so over. I just want to know, what is it with okay, I know that I'm probably putting myself into the boomer category, but what is it with these challenge videos where the person in the video smacks at the camera before they do their change? I'd rather like one of these, or like something pleasant, not so aggressive. I just can't get it. So that's annoying, and I will not be watching any more of your challenge videos. That's what I have to say. Okay. Now let's get into it. I'm so excited we were able to have our fabulous guests. Please welcome John Cameron Mitchell, and for everyone, please let us know your pronouns.
I am he, him, and I'm John Cameron Mitchell, and I'm a fan of Peppermint.
Aww.
I love Peppermint.
Before we even jump in and get started, if you are watching on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook, please check the link in the description or my Twitch profile to leave me a tip to support the production of this show. It is free to watch, but it's not free to put on. So please donate by hitting the tip button so that we can bring you the very best every single week. So right off the bat, on the wall, in the bathroom, just hear me out.
Is somebody's cum? Yeah.
Yeah, toilet paper that you used to wipe the cum off. Toilet paper, over or under? Which one?
Over. Oh, I thought you were going to say
yeah, I know.
towards the balls or away from the balls. And it's straight guys. Straight guys apparently go
towards the balls?
They go, what are they? They go towards the balls, which I think is a good first swipe to get, the larger amount. But then to get the deeper, you got to go towards the butt bump.
Towards the back.
Yeah, they're not used to their assholes. They're just
having to be clean.
No,
yeah.
And they're just discovering the pleasures of them, straight guys, just this year during the pandemic.
I think I'll be starting a new tutorial class once the pandemic lifts. Now, speaking of, I have a question. This is instantly not about you. It's about your brother, Colin, right? Is that your brother's name?
How do you know Colin?
Yeah, who played Gorda in Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yes.
I actually only know that because I recently binged. Okay, this is something nobody knows about me. I'm a Trekkie.
Oh.
I'm a Trekkie, and I even have a Star Trek communicator pin.
Whoa.
It happened to be sitting on my table.
Star Trek civil rights pioneer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interracial sex.
Yeah, and so I put I sleep to the sound of the Starship Enterprise. Anyway, the bottom line is I just binged Star Trek The Next Generation and caught your brother in this episode. And so I just think that's fantastic.
Yeah, he plays a Ferengi in it. And he does a lot of things I do. He directs and writes. And he's doing a fictional podcast series for kids called The Laundronauts that will come out later this year, starring Ed Asner. I sing on it. And it's about kids who... One of them goes stuffed into a washer and he disappears, so the kids have to go find him, and they're the Laundronauts.
Oh my gosh.
Get it?
That really sounds, yes I do, but it also sounds like something to even make the dryer and laundry machine even more terrifying.
Yes.
Mom is going to be like, no, don't listen to that. Get in there and do your chores.
Well, the boy ends up in absentia where all the socks and the coins and the lost things go.
Ah, oh gosh. So Broadway, I didn't know this until I was digging up a little bit, but you played Trent on Broadway in 6 Degrees of Separation?
Yes, it was the first interracial kiss that I did on stage.
Oh my gosh.
And it was James McDaniel and Courtney B. Vance, who was the really good kisser.
Really?
And a good actor. I play the guy...
In that order, maybe?
Yeah. And I met the guy that it's based on, because it's based on this con artist who pretended to be Sidney Poitier's son. Just to kind of be friends, not so much for money. It was like just to kind of be part of the upper crust.
The status, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a brilliant play by John Guare, and Stockard Channing did it. And I was the disgruntled upper-class bitch who teaches this character, David Hampton, how to be upper crust.
Yeah.
You know, and I say, take off a piece of your clothing for every tip I give you.
A bottle of beer. I don't know if that's
a bottle of beer.
A bottle. Yeah. Okay. I only know that because I saw the movie. I didn't see the show on Broadway.
Where Will Smith refused to kiss that guy.
Michael.
Do you remember that?
The Breakfast Club. Yeah. Michael.
Anthony Michael Hall.
Anthony Michael Hall
took my role.
Oh, what? Did you get to audition for the film?
Yes, I auditioned for myself and didn't get it. And then Will Smith would not kiss that man. And I was like, Will... Because Denzel Washington said to him, a black man cannot kiss another man and be a movie star because it will not be accepted by the black community. Denzel said that. And I was disappointed. I think Will feels differently now. But, you know...
I'm sure. I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they produced this movie with their son.
Yeah. Who's as, genderqueer as you can get.
Yeah, as genderqueer as ever. In an interview, you were quoted as saying being queer is a gift, speaking of queerness. And so can you explain that to our viewers? Why you say that?
Well, at first it feels like a curse, especially if you're in a conservative upbringing and religious. And I was very Catholic, military. And it feels very scary. And your feminine side, if you're a man, is scary to you. And in fact, I wasn't even attracted to feminine guys till I did drag. And instantly, after that, found feminine, masculine, just authenticity sexy. And there's an interesting thing there. Because you know how you get that casual racism on, say, Grindr, where people are like, not into Asians, just a preference. That's not a preference. That's actually a societal thing that you learn.
Yeah, because it's based on stereotypes.
And it's also an aversion. If you say, I'm attracted to Asian guys, it may be that when you were young, there was an Asian guy that was hot, and that's called an affinity or a fetish, or, and it can be negative or positive. But an aversion, saying, I'm not into that, that is societal. And you learn that shit. You learn not to be attracted to femme, to Asian, to black, or whatever, from society, from your parents, and that is curable. The attraction, say you're into blonde, if you're into muscly guys or Asian guys or whatever, that's an attraction and a taste, which is learned in your personal life, not necessarily society. So people don't ever use that term as a preference to hate somebody, or to avoid somebody.
It really is terrible. And so is that why queerness is a gift?
Queerness is a gift because obviously it's what you do with it. Someone else could say a gun is a gift, or a pie is a gift, and you can use it to smash someone's face or kill someone. You can use it to eat or to hunt. And to me, I used it to hunt. Dick.
That's her Dick Hunter. The new show by
Dick Hunter. Right. Dick Hunter, Dick Bounty Hunter. It was, to me, it was a thing that's neutral that you can use for good. You can use to develop yourself. You can use to find yourself. You can use it to destroy yourself, too, if you hate yourself. But to me, it kept me from being a very boring and maybe kind of control-y person. I'd probably end up like a straight librarian in Albuquerque, snapping at people who are making noises. And to
That bitchy
me,
librarian.
yeah, and to me, it opened me up to the world because most queer people are aware there's a wider world than their small town, and the
It gets you
option,
out to
yeah,
find those people.
the
Yeah.
option of leaving is a queer gift, and finding your people, finding yourself. So that is a gift that not everybody has, and we all know those are straight relatives who are lovely, but they don't necessarily think about a broader horizon, or they get pregnant too early, or they get a mortgage too early, and they don't think about finding the world. So to me, it is a
Because there's so
privilege.
much that's presented that they just all they re- I would imagine that all it just seems like they just need to just check off what's already prescribed on the list, and that's already in your town. Find somebody to marry, have a house, get a kid, whatever,
Get a,
and
a
a
hobby,
job.
get a job,
Yeah,
and it
and
becomes
you're
sheep, and then you're a sheep. And you might be a happy sheep, that's fine. I don't judge people for
yeah.
staying home.
I'm
And
glad my mom did it for a minute.
did what? Settled down to
had
have
a
you?
settled down and had a baby. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
um, So, besides what you already have going on, and you are definitely a jack of all trades, or Jacqueline, whichever of all trades. Um, and okay, this is the impromptu. Um, I've do you have any advice for people who kind of also have a proclivity for being good at more than one thing, singing, dancing, writing, performing, also being behind the scenes and producing, and just all the types of things that you are involved in? Do you have any advice for those folks who've heard in the past, pick a lane and only do one thing if you want to have success?
Yeah, I always bristled at that advice because, even in high school and college, I was directing, acting, writing, producing, designing, they were always creative things that had to do with story. But I don't think you should say you have to say you're one thing. But if you're doing a project, you need to finish it. You need to go
Mm-hmm.
all the way with it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're a dilettante and you're kind of trying a bunch of things and you can't finish them. It is important to go all the way with whatever you're doing. Your painting, your novel, your song. And COVID was kind of awesome because it allowed me to make this album, that you were a part of,
Yeah.
say their
Oh,
names.
say their names. It was. I'm so glad that you called me to do it, and it's such a beautiful song and a beautiful video.
Starring Kaya Kristal, a new
Yeah.
talent out of Boston. Check out the Say Your Names, John Cameron Mitchell. If you just search that on YouTube, you'll see the song that Pep, me, Kaya Kristal, and Leland, who's a writer who works with Selena
Yeah.
Gomez and Troye Sivan,
hmm
wrote about the trans folks who were murdered in the last year. Uh,
Yeah.
Name
There
checked.
were 44 by the end of the year.
That's right. And Melania Brown, whose sister Laylene Polanco died at Rikers, gives a beautiful speech at the end, which she did at the Trans March last
hmm
June. She's a wonderful person. She's taken her damages, the punitive damages or the settlement, and creating a shelter for trans women in New York. And she's
Oh wow. Do you
awesome.
know the name of it? Well.
She's just getting her ideas together.
Okay.
But feel free to reach out to her on Instagram.
I'm gonna reach out to her and
Yeah,
I'll
see if you can help.
help
She's a
her figure
doll.
out. Yeah. You already kind of going off the last question. What you already have going on, besides what you already have going on, if you could open a small business, what would it be? A store, an agency, a school, teaching straight guys how to wipe? I don't know.
Discover your asshole workshops. You discovered your nipples in the 90s, straight guys. Um, I'm going to reveal something that I'm slightly ashamed about, but I've actually never been fucked. And I'm telling you, Pep, for the first time in social media, because you're frozen. Are you frozen or was that your face? Because I came of age in AIDS.
Oh,
So
I
back,
get it.
yeah,
I get it.
back then it was, broken condom was a death sentence. So it was a thing that I didn't do. I came out right at the beginning of AIDS and was safe from the beginning. I was that first generation. And anyone a year or so older than me were dying, and it was scared the shit out of me, and which is not an anal joke. And then I had a boyfriend who had a huge penis, and it was not working. So I'm like a little virginal girl now who's like, it has to be the right man to relax me. So this is a call out. DM me.
Yes, darling. London?
I'm going to London.
London's
Anyone in
calling.
London? I am vaccinated, so just saying.
I get that. I actually, I don't know that we're the same exact age, but I also grew up in the 90s.
Under the
80s
shadow,
90s.
yeah.
Yeah, under the shadow, and I was a very late. I didn't have sex. I didn't get fucked until
after the drugs came out.
Until like in the 2000s.
Okay.
1990.
Safer.
2000 or
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Whatever, early 2000s.
It was 9/11. I heard was when you get fucked.
Yeah.
On 9/11.
Literally and figuratively. So okay, you here's one.
What was the question?
Finish this for me. Wait, no, you didn't tell. What is the business? How do we get?
Oh yeah, the business. It's
fucked?
teaching people how to get fucked for the first time, straight or otherwise. I also am very much into. I'm into aromatherapy, and I've been making these oil blends. And I have a friend who actually is an amateur perfumier, and we made a perfume together that we called Camilla on Inauguration Day.
Yes.
And I'm very proud of it. I did it with this guy, Yonsu.
Did you send it to... You didn't send it.
Can you imagine sending like a little liquid Camilla?
This is not the time to do that.
No.
With her name on it.
No. And when I meet her, I'll just spray it in her face. That'll be easier. Camilla. It's Camilla. So I would like to have a little scent shop, like make, and maybe people can create their own while they're there, like a scent bar.
Oh yeah, I'm really into scents. Every single time I go to when I'm travel to a new place, like a new city in a hotel, I always bring like my whole like scent moment, some essential oils and some sprays and perfumes to
put it in the bath,
control the
create an
atmosphere.
environment. Yeah.
Okay, so you can't tell by looking at me. I want you to finish this. You can't tell by looking at me, but...
You can't tell by looking at me, but I've never been fucked. Oh, I already said that one.
Yeah.
You can't tell by looking at me, but I... I'm an honorary Jew, though, I could be Jewish in certain countries. I've been because I moved so much as a kid and grew up in the military. I am so interested in different cultures. Everybody in the military was from somewhere else and some different place and different ethnicity, and I love that. To me, that was, and the military was like a socialist state for rednecks, and for not rednecks. Let's say poorer people who needed a leg up. It was a social...
That's where you get your college education.
Healthcare, GI.
Healthcare.
Yeah. They integrated...
I still get it because my grandfather was in the military.
Yeah. I mean, it's a macho fucking place, but the good things were really good. So I grew up with all kinds of music, all kinds of food. So you can't tell people, but you can't tell from looking at me, but I will go toe-to-toe with you on 70s funk as a DJ, and I will win.
And enter the movie Wattstax has now entered the chat.
And I got a letter from Mavis Staples.
Did you have a letter from Mavis?
You
Okay,
can't tell by looking at me, but I got a letter from Mavis Staples.
You got a letter from me? Oh my God, did you read it? I have to find out. Hold on, before we even get any further,
Yeah.
Everyone, head over to my Patreon if you would like to see me and John Cameron Mitchell
Rimming
talk
each other.
about, rimming,
talking about wiping.
Whatever, just head over to
Hygiene with Pepp and John.
Yes. Okay, so today's movie is Wattstax. And the film covers performances of the Watt Summer Festival organized by Stax Records. And the festival is a gathering of musicians and entertainers from the Black community brought together to remember the Watts uprising. Some
call it riots, others call it
but,
uprising.
Yeah, from 7 years prior. It happened in 1965. And so you suggested this movie to me. To be honest with you, of course, I'd heard of the Watts riots in L.A., but didn't know much about them other than the fact that they had happened. Certainly, we don't even learn much about these. These are news-only events. We don't learn about them as connected to our history.
No.
And so, how did you come to? When did you first see this movie? How did you find out about it? I want to know.
Well, like I said, I'm a huge soul and funk fan, as well as punk and new wave. So it's like, to me, it was my dance music from when I was a little kid. And I just loved the Staple Singers. You know, they were just my favorite because they were so positive and the message was so loving. They were from church, but they weren't, you know, it's a different feeling from a black gospel church than a white church that I grew up in. I would still be in church if it was anything like the Staple Singers, you know, denomination. But being a Christian kid and rejecting the church, but loving some of the messages, I found in Pop Staples and Mavis Staples this, let us make things better. I will take you there. You know, if you're ready, come go with me. You know, and it was just like, it made me cry and dance at the same time. And that was, it was Otis Redding, Staple Singers, Carla Thomas, Rufus Thomas. There were so many amazing artists. They had a house band that Booker T and the MGs were the house band, which was integrated racially. You know, I love that about this Memphis vibe. It was like good music, anyone. Hopefully co-writing a song with a Memphis soul legend right now named Don Bryant, who wrote "I Can't Stand the Rain." You know, one of my favorite songs.
Shut your gay mouth.
He's still married to Ann Peebles, who he lives with, and we talked on the phone, and we're going to try to write an old school soul song, Memphis-y soul song.
I'm ready for it.
I might want to write it for some of my favorites who are still around, like Candy Staton.
Yes.
Who I love.
Yes.
You know, or Irma Thomas, who's still singing Up a Storm. So I was primed for this film, and when I finally saw it, I think in the early 90s, and weirdly, it was directed by the guy who directed Willy Wonka.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
With Gene Wilder?
Yeah, the director. I forget his name, but it's just like Willy Wonka and Wattstax. This Jew from New York is, you know, doing Wattstax. But Wattstax has Jesse Jackson talking about, you know, I am somebody. You got Richard Pryor, you know.
Richard Pryor giving it's basically a routine.
Yeah.
And it's like the rawest moments of like everything that was happening and everything that the community was feeling brought everyone there. And like Richard Pryor is definitely obviously one of the greatest comics, and in my opinion, and I think many others. And the fact that he was able to kind of, translate those experiences into a comedy that people could get in the movie, I think is wonderful. Like we were hearing the pain and the struggle and the reasons why just come so honestly. It was brilliant.
Yeah. So somehow they made this collage kind of a film. There's the full concert, which is at the LA Felt Forum, I think it was called then, the Coliseum, which is a stadium. So you got what's his name? Shaft, bald head.
Isaac Hayes.
Isaac Hayes coming out in his chains, the Black Moses. And you've got the Bar-Kays, and you've got it's just like full on early 70s, insane music. But you know who my favorite person on there, and he just died? Rance Allen. He is the one who's like kind of squat. He's got an ass the size of the moon, and he sings "Lying on the Truth." And
oh my God, he just died.
Yes.
That was one of the best performances
in the whole
show.
Unbelievable. I know. He was like a gospel funk guy at the time, and he went on into true gospel. And if you check out some of his YouTubes, he was brilliant. He did something about the name Jesus, which I think is a Kurt Franklin song, and killed it. He didn't go into the into the devil music of pop. He stayed in gospel, but just had a loving and maybe even slightly queer presence. He, as you know, black gospel is rife with faggots and dykes.
Yeah. Hello.
And there's a great book called The Fan Who Knew Too Much that has a great chapter on queerness in the black gospel church. All the children, all the chillin', that Mahalia and Clara Ward and Dorothy Love Coates and all these people that I worship, they had their gay helpers, and some of them were stars, like James Cleveland. He wasn't open, but he was. So to me, it was all coming together in this film. Richard Pryor, Rance Allen, and then the other and of course the Staple Singers killing it. But the other highlight for me is the emotions.
The emotions
in church.
I was just getting ready to say the emotions in church.
Peace be still.
Oh my God.
One of the most powerful.
Oh my God. Peace be still. I have it right here written down. I had took a note. I was like, the emotions gave such an emotional performance. And you can certainly hear in their pop music the gospel influence. But just to be able to see the source, it's like the source.
Yes.
Oh.
It's just like that, it has that vibe of the Aretha Amazing Grace album. So even if you just check out on YouTube, The Emotions, Peace Be Still from Wattstax, and Rance Allen doing Lying on the Truth, you will get the heart of this film. And
you really will.
It's so beautiful to me. I just...
Jesse Jackson's... I want to call it sermon in the stadium was wonderful too. His speech that he did I don't know what it's at the beginning of the movie. I'm not sure if they edited it around. It was during the day, so but it was beautiful, and just to know that this is I was trying to think about like what would bring us to a moment like this, what would bring the community to a moment like this, and knowing that they had these this huge uprising 7 years prior, which is in the middle of, right now I think people can look at it more as an isolated incident, but it was in the middle of the civil rights struggle here in the United States. And so there were like uprisings happening all over.
But that was the first big one.
That was the first major one. Yeah. And so I think one of the things, that there's this saying that, a riot is the voice of the unheard. I think that's the quote. And, to know that what happened as a result of that later on was this beautiful concert that just really brought together music and healing. I think that was one of the first steps that had to happen for the community before we could get to where we are now, which is like the BLM movement that invites in many other people. Because the concert, the film, there really wasn't a participation or presence of like other folks. No white folks, not a lot of other folks.
Only the director.
Which I think was only the director, which was the most appropriate thing at that time, for sure. And I think that there wasn't really room for white folks in that day and age to really, really be involved in that way. And so now it's really interesting that we have people from all over taking interest in what we're calling the BLM movement, but just like, equality for people of color, and seeing their role and how they can participate or contribute to dismantling systemic racism.
That's right.
And so,
Questlove has a new doc of the Harlem festival around the same time that came out this year at Sundance. So that's going to be coming out soon too. I'm very excited about that. Stevie Wonder and
it
everybody.
took place in the 60s?
No,
wow.
70s.
Oh, okay, in the 70s.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have to check that out.
Got raves.
Okay.
I mean, I grew
let
up.
me check the comments
Yeah.
real quick. Okay, keep going. You grew up what? Tell me. I want to hear
I mean,
it.
I grew up on army bases around the country, and the only thing we had to hold us together, because we didn't really belong wherever we were. We were in Germany and New Mexico. It was like these military places all over the world that had the same exact, barbershop and commissary and PX. So what kept us together was music, and not even films, because we wouldn't get the first films, we'd get old films. But we would get, classic comedies of the day. So, and because it was super mixed, white, black, Latino, Asian, everything was always mixed. The music and the movies were super fun and different. So when I was a kid, it was all about Cooley High. It was all about Cornbread, Earl and Me, and Car Wash.
Oh my God, Car Wash. I'm more of a man than you'll ever be, and more of a
woman than you'll ever get. That was the first positive trans character that I ever saw in '76. Antonio Fargas, who was in Starsky and Hutch,
yes,
and often played queer.
And, oh my God, in everything. Played.
Next
first
Stop,
time I ever
Greenwich
saw him
Village.
was in Pam Grier.
Coffee.
Was it Coffee?
Or Foxy
I think
Brown.
It wasn't Coffee too, but it was Foxy Brown. It was Foxy Brown. That was the first time I saw him.
He was always
her
like,
brother. I think he played her
she was the brother who
Yeah.
gets killed, and she has to avenge him.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's always like lovable, pimp or
Yes,
queen or something.
Oh, I think he played the pimp in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. I think.
Did he?
I think so.
I mean, he would have been old, but maybe the older pimp.
Yeah, no, he was. Oh, yeah, he was. There
Okay.
was the pimp that had been in jail
Okay.
from the '70s that was released, and he was the flyest thing when he went in, and then he came out, and he came out and he was strutting down the street, he had his little pimp suit on and his cane, and he had these
Stacks.
huge platforms,
Yeah.
stacks that had goldfish in the thing, and then people it came out like in the late '80s,
Yeah.
early '90s, whatever, and people were like yelling and screaming, and they were like taunting him. He thought they were like loving him,
him.
and then he gets chased down the street, and they're like, "We're gonna get you!" And he like runs, and his goldfish things break. Yeah, that's definitely him.
Running,
You gotta watch.
being chased by PETA, right?
Yeah.
How dare you?
How dare you? So I want to know what impact did Wattstax have on your life back in when you saw it the first time?
When I first saw it was probably the '90s. So it was, so my life has been, kind of bracketed by various crises. And when I was young, it was Vietnam and Watergate and civil rights. And when I was, came of age, it was AIDS and ACT UP. So the idea of fighting to survive, fighting for your dignity, fighting for your life, fighting for, the AIDS drugs to come out, was in the air. It was always there, and we all need to take inspiration, tactics, intersectional love from all these people who have been fighting the good fights. The ACT UP, demonstrators were advising some of the BLM people of how to, how to protest safely, and go limp when you're arrested and this and all that. So to me, it's like Wattstax was of a piece with that. It's like these are people who are battered by the 60s, battered by the assassinations, which were about 4 years before, of MLK and Malcolm and Medgar, and all of this was a hurting time, the early 70s, though it had a celebratory time. And we're in a similar time now to the 70s. Economically uncertain, polarization, even more polarized because of social media. Your cute auntie is now like believing that Hillary is eating children. What is going on? And someone said to me, how are so many people believe this bullshit? And I said, well, some of the same people believe in eating the body and blood of Jesus Christ, so maybe it's not that much of a shift. You right?
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this film, at the risk of being the little white boy who, wanted to be a black woman.
Yeah.
Which does happen.
That's it.
There's some identification there with,
There is. There's a connection, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, I was feeling bitchy too when Millie Jackson came up. And, to me, these were my inspirations. It was often female, and that's a gay male thing. But I just felt a connection. And even though it wasn't my story, it was inspirational to me. And that's why I feel moved when Hedwig is someone who comes from a very different background, some kid in Philippines or, black lady in Mississippi, said, that made me feel better. That made me, I didn't want to be Hedwig, but it made me feel less alone. And whatever journey we're on, with whatever obstacles we have, political, racial, family, health, queerness, we can find and I think allies is a little too technical for me, but to find those, brothers and sisters and others who are our lovers in arms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We are together. We can draw on each other's support to make things better. And of course, the danger now is with an emphasis on purity. You're not pure enough. You said something bad 200 years ago. You said something bad yesterday. You're canceled. You start to lose those lovers in arms. You start to create fissures among people who really have a lot in common. And then
even people within the community.
Exactly. And otherwise you get Steve Bannon and Trump laughing as we tear our brothers and sisters and such apart. And we end up alone. We don't have those so-called allies. So to me, I'm not a big cancel culture person. I believe, you need to say what you need to say, and certain people need to be talked about and even called out. But while you're calling out, you also have to be creating an alternative. Otherwise, you just become the call-out person, and there's no forward motion in that. Forward motion, do what you need to do there, but also what is the alternative? You're talking about organizations, groups, creative endeavors, collaborations that open us up rather than shut us down. If you believe in prison reform and rehabilitation, you cannot believe in cancel culture. I'm talking 100% cancel, right? Because if you believe that someone who's done something wrong needs restorative justice, rehabilitation, bullshit prison regulations changed, which is a possibility of getting yourself out of a hole and finding your way of your vocation, your love, your creativity, then you cannot cancel because it's the same thing. I mean, granted, if someone's raping you, they got to be shut down. I'm talking about degrees. I'm talking about taking it, case by case, thinking about it, opening up the dialogue rather than just saying, talk to the hand. So maybe that's my Catholic upbringing. I believe people can change. You give them opportunities. After a couple opportunities, if they don't, move on. But you know what I mean? I'm a open hand person.
I agree with that because the canceling that happens, it's really it doesn't allow any other discourse. It's just like oh,
It's
you did
over.
something, you're canceled. But then we have to, as humans, every human has to move on. We have to live another day. We have to continue to eat and make a living or work or live or and connect with other people, regardless of what we've done and how accountable we need to be held. I have a question because we did see when you mentioned allies, and we saw a lot of allyship this past year in 2020. Some of it performative only, but some of it very genuine,
Yeah.
regardless of how effective it is or was. Do you think that, and this is the last question before we have to let you go, do you, how important I should tell you that the reason why I started this show is because I have a lot of friends from a bunch of different backgrounds, and I was able to kind of share in many of their experiences and their cultures. But it was interesting to me that a lot of those people hadn't ever seen a movie that was like headed by a black cast or by a black filmmaker. They hadn't seen a lot of black art and films and don't really engage in it. And so, how important is it? To you, you kind of explained it, your connection to it, but how important is it for those who may not have had a similar upbringing as you to engage with, support black films and art?
I mean, if you're a true artist and a lover of art, you are interested in the human condition and all of the human condition. I was lucky enough to live around the world and be exposed to everything, so to me, nothing is frightening and everything is interesting. In the military, it was like not so much who are you, where are you from, what's your background or your race. It's more what do you got to bring to the party, and if you don't got anything, I'm not interested. So to me, film art is my greatest way to connect to the world, and then with that, let's call it artificial connection of art, then I'm able to actually reach out into the world more without art. It's almost like a lens, and it can make you see. Oh, you can see better. You can see things more clearly. After I see a really good film, I just feel like I look at the world differently, and I love it. I feel endorphins, and I feel ready to engage with the world. In this COVID time, in this digital era, you get more and more young people kind of shutting themselves in and afraid to even meet up, and they're breaking up by text, and they're scared of sex, and a lot of not just COVID, but before COVID, a lot of younger people were having less sex, which to me is sad. It's like that's another way. It may seem risky, but it's another way to find out what's going on. So to me, these films, especially African American films, I also have a real connection with Asia and Latin America, and through the films. That's how I found out about it first, and then you go there. And then you have a little way in, and then, like anybody, there's going to be suspicion of like, you're not in your lane. And I don't like that thing of like, it's not your story to tell. Does that mean I can't write a black character? In my podcast, Anthem Homunculus, I wrote killer roles for Cynthia Erivo and Nakane, and they had input in it. I wrote them 10 songs, and to me it's like another person might say, that's not your story to tell. It's like, well, if you're not telling any story but your own, you're going to have a world of autobiographies,
Yeah.
And Toni Morrison in the documentary that came out about her, she said what I believe, which was when she teaches writing, all the kids are like, well, I'm going to write about how I grew up in Mississippi. She goes, no, you're not, because you don't know anything yet. You're 18. You, white boy, are going to write from a Latina girl's point of view in a shop in Houston. You, black girl from Ohio, are going to write from a rich white girl in Connecticut's point of view. You're going to find out what you can about such a world, and you're going to begin feeling empathy. I am Toni Morrison. I have spoken. So it is in playing other roles. I would hazard to say, Pep, when drag came into your life, it was a way to feel another character, but also a way to feel empathy, a way to open yourself up to the world let your femininity shine instead of be judged. And then your journey towards transness, that was a gateway into it, which needs to be honored. Drag and trans have intersections that are beautiful, and they are always adjacent, and separate. But to me, it is in performing, in writing, that I am able to feel other people in the world, and it's vital.
That is so beautiful, and I hope that all of our viewers are able to kind of get some inspiration from what John has to say.
I love you, Peppermint.
I love you too. If you saw the movie, please leave a comment and share this podcast, I don't know what
whatever it
is
is
called, the show, this podcast. If you, by the way, John Cameron has a new benefit album, New American Dream. Please check that out today.
It's a benefit album for a trans justice group, MLK group, and a COVID food bank. Peppermint is part of it. I have new songs coming out, one with Wynton Marsalis.
Oh my God,
I'm just asking people.
Figure out a way to clone you and go to, and be like, hi, I'm John. And
work with
have
me.
The experience.
All you got to do is ask. They could say no.
Oh my gosh. And make sure you check out Anthem Homunculus, which is John's legendary musical
podcast with
anthology
Patti
podcast.
LuPone, Glenn Close, Cynthia Erivo. It's on the Luminary podcast network. And thank you. I'm going to New York and then London now, and I'm glad I got to squeeze this in, hon. And I'm going to go take a shit, and I'm going to wipe both ways just for you.
Wipe both ways. Thank you so much for joining us. Head over to my Patreon to see everything that you just missed. And thank you so much. You are an amazing person. I'm so happy that we are connected. And I'm forever in awe of you.
Oh.
Travel safe. And I love you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you, John.
John. Thank you. Bye.
So our product of the week this week is Exfoliate by Kate Somerville. They send me a lot of great stuff, so I'm always happy to talk about it. It is a leave-on exfoliating solution. It's a very watery liquid to the touch, as you can see. It's very liquidy, and it's for all skin types. And it's an exfoliant, and so it's going to smooth the surfaces, take care of uneven skin texture, and minimize pores. They say it has glycolic, malic, and lactic and phytic acids, also papaya, pumpkin, and pineapple enzymes, and say that 3 times fast, and also has frankincense, honey, and tea extracts. So lots of goodness. They also say it's cruelty-free and does not have parabens, phthalates, and sulfates. So that's really good. I have eczema, and so I get a lot of dry patches, especially under my eyes. And I really did enjoy using this together with my whole my nighttime skincare regimen. I'm feeling pretty good. One thing you should know is that I use this as a toner. So I put it on after I cleanse, but before my moisturizers and solutions and my serums. And as you can see, it's really liquidy. And I thought that this was like a regular toner, but you should know that it does dry, but it does also leave sort of a tacky to the touch finish. So you want to be aware of that. If you've got long hair, you just kind of want to put your hair up and kind of keep it out of the way. And just know that if you get it on your neck, it might take some getting used to. It's $60, which is kind of a steep price to pay, I think, for something like this. But it could be worth it. I really do enjoy it. I think it's great. Yeah. So I'm not sure that I would substitute my other exfoliants for this, but if you can afford it, it's definitely worth it. I guess that's the way I'll put it. Okay, so that is our product of the week.